All right, fifth grade. We are going to review multiplication of fractions today. So we're going to do about 4 problems together, and hopefully by the end of it you'll be like, oh yeah, I got that. So here's our first problem. We are going to do 3/5 times 1/3. So the easiest way to multiply fractions is to just multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3, and then we multiply the denominators. 5 times 3 is 15. So we get 3/15. You always have to go back, check to see if you can simplify it. And you can simplify 3/15. We look and see what number we can divide the top and the bottom by. We can divide the top by 3, and we can divide the bottom by 3, and so we get an equivalent fraction of 1/5. So that's the most straightforward way. There is a way that makes it even easier though. You saw how we had to simplify that at the end? There's a way to simplify it at the beginning so you can multiply with smaller numbers and it makes life easier. Let me show you. So let's take our original problem. At the end, notice we divided the top and bottom by 3. Let's look and see if we can do that ahead of time. When I look at my problem, I do see a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. If I were to cross cancel, I could simplify this ahead of time. I divide the top number by 3 and it gives me 1. I divide the bottom number by 3 and it gives me 1. So now when I multiply across, 1 times 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And I get 1/5, which is exactly what I got the first time, but I got it by multiplying smaller numbers. Now in this example, the numbers were pretty easy to work with and it wasn't hard to simplify it at the end. But in some problems, being able to simplify ahead of time or cross cancel makes the problem much, much simpler. Let me give you an example of a problem like that. We're going to look at 5/7 times 14/20. When we do this problem, we're going to see much bigger multiplying. If we multiplied the numerators, 5 times 14, I don't even know what that is. I'd have to calculate it out. And 7 times 20, we'd be at 140 on the bottom. Those are really big numbers, and I definitely want to make my life simpler. So I'm going to look for a way to simplify it ahead of time. It'll make life easier. So I'm looking at this, and I see a 7 and a 14, a 7 and a 14, a top number and a bottom number that can be simplified. I can divide the top number by 7, which gives me 2. I can divide the bottom number by 7, which gives me 1. So that's really nice. That's going to make the problem easier. But I can cross cancel again. Not in every problem, but in this one I can. I see a 20 on the bottom and a 5 on the top. I have a top and a bottom number that I can simplify by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. I'm now working with much easier numbers. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. 2/4. That is much, much simpler than having to go 5 times 14 and work with these massive numbers. 2/4 is easy. But again, you have to stop and ask yourself, can it be simplified? And 2/4 can. Now you might be able to see just by looking at it that 2/4 equals a half, and you might not have to show any work. But if you didn't see that, let me show you. 2/4. I can divide the top by 2, and I can divide the bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my final answer for this problem is 1/2. When you multiply fractions, look to see if you can cross cancel first, and then simplify your answer. We're going to do 2 more problems because sometimes you're going to be asked to multiply mixed numbers, such as 1 and 2/3 times 2 and 1/10. When you're asked to do this, you have to turn your mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 3 times 1 is 3, 4, 5. You have to add those 2 up there. We get 5/3. And I'm not explaining this in great detail because we've talked about it a lot. I'm just reminding you. We take that little pattern, we circle around 1 times 3, 3 times 1 plus 2. we're going to do the same thing. We're going to circle around. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 1 is 21. We have 21 tenths, and we have 5/3. I'm going to erase these because it makes it look a little confusing. Let me talk you through that step one more time, just in case you were confused. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 more is 5. 10 times 2 is 20, plus that 1 is 21. Now we can multiply it, but we're going to be working with some pretty big numbers, so let's try to cross cancel first. I see a top number and a bottom number. They can both be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Look again, is there any more cross canceling you can do? And I see that, yeah, actually there is. I can divide 21 by 3 and 3 by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So now I have 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. So I have 7 halves. Ask yourself, can you do anything else with that, or are you finished? That's an improper fraction, so we are not finished. I need some room. If you're going to have an improper fraction, you have to make it proper. 7 divided by 2. 7 divided by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times, which leaves a remainder of 1. And remember, when you have fractions, you never write remainder 1. You take the remainder and you put it on the top of the fraction, and the bottom of the fraction is that number there. Or if it helps you, you can just look at the bottom number that you use there. It's the same thing. So our final answer to this problem is 3 1/2. Let's do one more problem like that and make sure that you're understanding. The last problem we're going to do is 3 1/12 times 3/8. Now in this one, only one of our numbers is improper. That's okay. Sometimes you're going to multiply improper only one of our numbers is a mixed number. Sometimes you're going to multiply mixed numbers by regular fractions. That's fine. Just remember, you have to convert your mixed fraction into an improper fraction. 12 times 3 is 36, plus 1 is 37. So we have 37/12 times, and we don't need to do anything. That's already just a regular fraction, 3/8. Again, we're going to be working with some big numbers, so I definitely want to cross cancel if possible. 8 and 37 I can't do anything with, but I can cross cancel to simplify 3 and 12. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 37 times 1 is 37. 4 times 8 is 32. So I get 37 over 32. And so we're asking ourselves, is that in its final form? My top number is bigger than my bottom, so it's improper. I have to make it proper. So we'll make some room up here, and we're going to do 37 divided by 32. 37 divided by 32. It goes in there one time with a remainder of 5. And remember, we write our remainders as fractions. So that would be 5 over 32. See, 32 was on the bottom. We divided by it. So the answer to this problem is 1 5/32. All right, that's how we multiply fractions. I hope it's making sense to you. All right, bye.